Hey everybody, this is Sherry with Happy Gut for Life, and today I'm making one of my most favorite SCD recipes, my fluffy vanilla waffles. I love these because they're so easy to make and they taste so good. One time I gave one of them to my husband and he didn't even know it was SCD. He's like, "Why are you eating that?" One thing that makes waffles different from pancakes is that, besides using the waffle iron, is that they are have like kind of a crispier, crustier outside, and the pancake is smooth. And one way you do that for a waffle is that you use a little more fat in the recipe and sugar. So obviously we don't use sugar with SCD, so I use honey. And then for fat, you can use, there's a lot of options. I usually use butter, but I also use cocoa butter. And so if you have that, it's really, really good. It's kind of a treat. So I'm going to use that today, but you could also just use butter. It's the same amount. You could also use coconut oil. The first thing I do to start my waffles is that I beat the egg whites. This is what helps give the waffles their fluffy and lighter texture. The egg whites are done. You can see it's pretty stiff. It's got stiff peaks, as they say. So we're just going to set these aside so we can put the rest of our ingredients together. It takes about a minute or so, 1 to 2 minutes to get them like this. I just use a spatula to carefully scrape the eggs into another bowl, and then we're going to set them aside while we put the rest of our ingredients together. I'm just going to put the rest of the ingredients into the bowl. As you can see, you don't have to clean it or anything because the eggs are going to go back in there anyway. So we have some almond flour, we have cinnamon, baking soda, and salt, 3 eggs, and we have some honey, vanilla. I use a whole tablespoon of vanilla because I want a strong vanilla flavor. You could use less. You could use like a teaspoon if you just want kind of this more subtle vanilla flavor. This is almond milk. I like to usually use coconut milk because I like the sweeter flavor that it has, but I don't have any right now, and I do have some almond milk. You could also use some yogurt. Just make sure if you use yogurt, you whisk it so it's smooth first. And then we just have a little bit of lemon juice. To help give waffles a kind of crispier texture on the outside, it's good to add a little fat, like I mentioned earlier. Usually I use butter. You can also use coconut oil, but to make it a little more special today, I am going to use some raw cocoa butter. So I have that melting in the pan. You need about 2 tablespoons. When it's in big chunks like this, you kind of have to guess. It's okay if there's a little bit more in there. You don't really want less, but if you put a little more, it's not going to hurt it, especially the cocoa butter, because the cocoa butter kind of solidifies a little bit and it gives it a smooth texture, so it's okay to have a little more in there. So my cocoa butter is now melted, and I'm just going to let it cool off for a little bit before I pour it into the batter, because I don't want it to start to cook the eggs before I mix them. Cocoa butter melts really fast, so you don't have to do it over very high heat, and make sure you keep an eye on it so it doesn't burn. I'm adding the cocoa butter, and now I'm just going to mix this so it's all combined. It only takes maybe 30 seconds or so. The final step is that we are going to mix in our whipped egg whites. So you just put those in, and then I just stir it with the spatula. It's not a souffle, so it's not like it can be stirred pretty well. You just want to maintain that airiness. So but you don't want like huge pockets of just the egg whites. So you want to get that stirred in there. I let it get like pretty thin. But it still should be airy. So let's see. About like that. So the batter is ready, and then I have my waffle iron heating up, so then we'll just pour it on there. The amount of batter you put on is going to depend on the size of your waffle iron. So mine is like a 6 or 7 inch, and I put about 3/4 cup of the batter on. So for what I just made there, for me, that makes like 2 full-size waffles, and sometimes there's a little bit extra. So it'll vary depending on your waffle iron. The batter's pretty thick, so you'll kind of have to spread it out there yourself. Get it so it covers the waffle iron pretty completely. It doesn't spread out a whole lot. Especially now mine like flips over, so it kind of spreads the batter out. Like this. And then for mine, it goes about 4 minutes. The timer is up and the waffle is done, so let's see how it turned out. Ooh, there it is. It looks really good. So it's completely browned and looks a little crispy on the outside, which it is. And so we are ready to take it off the waffle iron. And there is our finished waffle all ready to eat. And that is my recipe for SCD Fluffy Vanilla Waffles. You can find this recipe and more of my SCD recipes at happygutforlife.com.